Ihr spielt euren einzigen Deutschland-Gig in Leipzig. Konntet ihr was von der Stadt sehen?
We've been here several times before, but normally when touring, it's just you drive in and you drive out. So unless you have a day off, my favorites are probably Hamburg and Cologne because we've always had time off in those places. We used to do a lot of promo in Cologne, so we knew like the central Köln pretty well, and we've had the time to walk around and so. But in Leipzig, no, and never even in Berlin that much. But we spend a lot of time in this country. But normally it's like ICE train, and then so it's usually work.
Hast du gute Erinnerungen an Deutschland?
Plenty. We spent a lot of time here. Germany was the first country outside of Finland who started really digging what we do. You know, we had a lot of success here, so we started touring Germany in I think in '98. So yeah. A lot of memories, good and bad. You know, we kind of like we learned how to rock and roll here in Germany. So
Manche sagen ja, das wirkliche Rock'n'Roll-Leben findet nach dem Auftritt statt.
that's what the amateurs say. You know, when everybody's when you're young and you don't know what you're gonna do, that's what you do. You get drunk and you do stupid things. But I think the true rock and roll happens on stage because that's stamina. That's like if you can pull off a good 2-hour gig, you don't mess up, you play well, you sing well. And you're able to make people smile in the audience. That's rock and roll.
Ihr arbeitet gerade an eurem neuen Album. Wann können wir damit rechnen?
Oh well, hopefully it's going to happen sometime next year. But it's interesting time for us since our previous drummer left the band in February. So now we have a new guy, and that's also one of the reasons why we're not playing more gigs here in Germany. It's like we just do a few shows to kind of like test the waters, see how the chemistry works within the band with the new guy, and everything's going splendid. Which is great because it's not the easiest thing. We had the same drummer for 15 years, and then all of a sudden now we have to find somebody who would actually fill that hole, so to speak. But he's doing a great job. So hopefully we can go back home in about a week and then start little by little working on the new stuff, which would mean that if we're lucky, it would be out in a year. So for Christmas next year, I'd say.
Du hast mal gesagt, ihr macht Love Metal. Ist das immer noch so?
Well, I guess so. Yes. We play music that is very hard and masculine, but yet it does have this sort of like sentimental side to it. So I guess that's one thing that's never changed.
Das Hymn-Logo ist das Hertogramm. Hast du es designt?
Yeah, I drew it down. Yeah. One of my friends helped me out with the computer work on it, but I drew the original. Then we just messed around with the proportions. But yeah, it was on the day I turned 20 when I drew it. I remember it because of that. So yeah. It started to live its own life really quickly, and it became, especially in the States, it became way bigger than the band. It's a pretty wild thing because drawing that thing down on my 20th birthday, I would have never guessed that it would travel around the world that well, and people would be tattooing it all over their bodies and stuff. So it's a pretty wild thing.
Hat es denn eine bestimmte Bedeutung?
Well, I love symbols, whether they be political or whether they be artistic or religious or whatever. I think that logos and symbols are really strong, and people they live and they can take a life of their own. A lot of especially heavy rocking bands, they flirt with Satanism or whatever, and they have their pentagrams and stuff. So I wanted our band to have something similar, but with a twist, and our twist was basically as well as with the music to put something sentimental meeting with something that is normally considered as something really evil and hard and dark. It's like a yin-yang thing.
Kannst du dich noch an dein allererstes Tattoo erinnern?
Yeah, it was the heart here. It was just like a test, and all the text came later. But it was one of my. I met a guy who's we got along really well and started drinking together and going out and blah. And then he turned out to be a tattoo artist, so I had to ask, for a tattoo, and he ended up doing this. So it was like that's my first one, that tiny heart, and then that's my second one, like from one extreme to the other.
Was außer Musik kannst du noch gut?
I was good making a decent cup of pot noodles back in the day. That was my specialty because that was the only thing I could afford. So the tom yum goong made out of the cheapest materials, that was my specialty. But it's been a lot of years, so it's been a long time since. So no, I don't have any other talents.
Was ist gerade auf deiner Playlist? Vielleicht irgendwelche Musik, die dir peinlich sein könnte?
Um, I don't have any guilty pleasures when it comes to music because I grew up listening to Black Sabbath, but then again Michael Jackson and Duran and all those '80s poppy things. I don't mind that stuff at all. Or yeah, I listen to classical music when I'm doing gardening. So I love reggae. No, there's no guilty pleasures. I'm proud of all the stuff I'm listening to.